Hello to everyone and welcome on the YouTube channel School for All. So today we are following with the second video concerning HTML in web development. Good. So in the first tutorial we did everything concerning the theoretical part, meaning what are some of the things we're supposed to know concerning HTML before you start practical. Because it's not really interesting when you start practical without being in the context of what you're doing, without understanding the real life application of what you are doing. So in the first tutorial I've explained everything concerning real life application. In reality, when you're writing HTML code, what are you doing? So I've explained everything and it's very interesting. So this second video is practical, so we are starting directly. Good. Now, so as you are seeing here, requirement for HTML web development. So the first thing, your computer, of course. Now the next thing is what we call a text editor. So the text editor is simply the software that we'll be using to write your HTML code. And these are some of the examples here. There's Notepad, there's Notepad++, VS Code, and so on. Now, concerning advanced level or ICT or ordinary level computer, the software that you're going to use is either Notepad or Notepad++. Forget about VS Code. With VS Code, you'll be using it maybe after your advanced level, university, things like that. Now, so Notepad and Notepad++, the same software. Notepad is just an old version, and Notepad++ a new version. Good. So, and what adds at the level of Notepad++ is just like the color of text. Like everything is not just black and white. No, there are some text with some colors. Yes, that can just help you with some few things, but it's not really important, not really necessary. Good. So you go with Notepad because by default Notepad is already in your computer, whereas Notepad++ you're supposed to install it. That is why generally we just work with Notepad. There's no problem. Good. Take note. Now in French, Notepad is called block note. Like I think my computer is in French. Good. So yes, I'm having the block note. If your computer is in English, type Notepad. So my own computer is in French, so that is why I'm having block note. You click, you open. Good. So when you open block note, you have exactly something like this, and this way you'll be writing your HTML code. Take note of that. Good. So continuation. Now, after having a text editor, the next thing is make sure you have a web browser. So of course, when you are using Google, when you are using Windows operating system, majority of the time Microsoft Edge is the default software. Good. So if you type there Edge like this, you see Microsoft Edge. So this is the default software found in all Windows operating systems. So it's always there. So you cannot be telling me that your computer is not having a web browser. No, it's not possible. So this is the default web browser of Windows operating system. Now beside that, if there's any other browser in your computer, there's no problem. That's why I was saying that if you don't even know what is a web browser, this is where problems start. Good. So in the first tutorial we have explained what was the web browser. I gave some example of web browser. So very interesting. Now, so yeah, you know what the web browser. So we are going to start. The first thing is to write the HTML code. Now, so in this document, I'm explaining all the different steps in detail for those that will be reading the document. But since here I'm doing a video, so it's practical, I'll be doing everything directly. So now, step number 1, let me write the basic structure of an HTML code. Meaning that when you're writing an HTML code, this structure must always be present. Good. So you follow first. HTML generally functions with what we call tags. So tag like this. Good. So what's a tag? A tag in fact is just a name enclosed in an angle bracket. Like I can have something like this. HTML. Good. So yeah, this is what we call a tag. So you're seeing that here the name is what? The name is HTML. Good. And it's enclosed in angle bracket. So this is what we call this thing, angle bracket. It's exactly that. Now, so I'm going to write the basic structure, then explain it. So just follow. Okay, so this is the basic structure of an HTML document. Now, but before explaining this, let me just move back a level of the document. Now, so even in the document, you will see the same thing. But before that, I want to explain something. HTML tag. So as I was saying, an HTML tag is a keyword enclosed in angle bracket. Now, and we have different type of keywords. But before that, most HTML tag have an opening tag and closing tag. So how to indicate opening and closing tag is very easy. Now opening tag simply means you write the text enclosed in an angle bracket is all. Now the closing tag simply means you do the same thing. You take that same name, you put in an angle bracket, but you add a slash before the text. Take note of that. So this is it here. The closing tag is represented with a slash like that. Like this is a tag here called P, you see, good, and P is enclosed in my angle tag, and after that I'm having a particular text, and after that text I'm having the closing tag of P, and it's exactly that. If we move back at the level of the structure, you realize the same thing. See something like a tag called title. You are seeing that after writing the tag title, you write the text in between. So the text in between simply represents the title of your web page. Good. And after that, you close the tag. How to close the tag? By writing the name of that tag, the same name. Good. But make sure you add a slash before. Good. By the time you are seeing this slash, we know that okay, you are closing this tag. Good. So this is what we call start and end. Take note of that. Now, I'm coming to this, so this is one thing you're supposed to note. Now the next thing you're supposed to note before we continue is we have different type of tags. This is what we call pair tag. Pair tags, in fact, this is a tag that have opening and closing tag. It's all good. Like here, you are seeing that example. P is a pair tag, because after writing the tag P, no matter the text you write after this tag P, you must close P, because if you don't close it, it's not working. The same thing, this is another tag here. But we have so many pair tags that exist. That's why generally, in fact, students are not supposed to stress. The best thing is to retain that normally a tag has an opening tag and a closing tag. Now let us move to the exception. Good. Now the exception here is what we call empty tags, or we call them self-closing tags. Meaning that these are tags that when you open, you don't close. And generally for your level, these are the 3 tags you're supposed to retain. It's all. So put in mind that the BR tag, the HR tag, and the image tag are empty tags. Meaning that when you open them, don't close them. So you never see something like angle bracket slash EMG. No, you never see something like EMG is not having. EMG is for image. So we are going to study all of these tags in detail. So you never see something like that with a slash. No, the same thing as HR and BR. So just retain for these 3 is all. Put in mind that the rest are having opening and closing tag. Just put that in mind, and it's all for now. This is for your level. Good. With time you learn more things. Now, by the time you're understanding this, perfect. Let us go back to the codes. Now, generally, there is one tag we call HTML, and HTML tag simply represents the start and end of your HTML program. Good. Like if you write HTML like this and you don't come and close it down here, see where I'm closing it here at the bottom, because this represents the end. So at the top here it represents the start and it represents the end here. Good. And for the end simply represents the closing tag. That's why there is a slash before HTML. Take note, please. So when you are writing an HTML code, always start. So let me clean this first so that you see something. Always start with something like that. Like you write HTML, then you close it directly. Good. You know how to close it directly. Now, after having HTML opening and closing, because if you don't do this, in fact, when you execute your file, your browser will never recognize that this is an HTML file. Take note of that. Now, after that, the next thing, let me go back to School for All. Now, because this is a web page here, you realize that the web page generally is made up of 2 parts. There is this part here, up here. You see School for All, DC, preparation. This is what we call the title of the web page, the title. Good. And after the title, the next thing that we have the body. The body is this visible part that we are seeing. Anything visible that we are seeing here is what we call the body. Good. And the title is up there at the level of that nav bar. Take note of that. Good. Now, so that's why at the level of the structure, the first thing always indicate your title, and the title is being indicated in the head tag. So let me just indicate it here. The head tag. So the title, you need to include a tag called head. You see, I open the tag here and I close it here, and in between that head tag I'm having a tag called title, and inside here I'm writing the name of my title. So here I'm just having a name new. So it's similar when you execute this file at the level of your browser, just look up there, you will see new. Good. So and title is a closing tag, because remember that empty tags are BR, HR, IMG. Good. So title is not among. So don't go and open title tag, you write your text and you don't close it. Please don't make that type of mistake. That's why I've given you the exception. So for the rest of the tags, please, opening, closing, never forget that. Good. The head is the same thing. So please, at this level, to retain it is very easy. Just put in mind that, okay, my HTML code should start with a title, and that title is in the head tag. Good. So you retain it like that. So you are seeing that now the next thing, when you are done with the title, if I go back to the page again, after the title, the next thing is just the content of the web page. So, and this content is inside the body. That is why generally after you are done with the head, you go now to the body. Good. So this is my body here. The body is the same thing. You open the body and you close the body, and in between the body now, this is where you are writing the content of your web page. Good. So, and they will be asking different type of question here, like if you want to insert an image, if you want to insert a link, if you want to insert a table, if you want to insert, in fact, anything you want to do is inside, in between the body tag. Never forget that, because this refers to the content of your web page. Never forget this. Good. So this is the basic structure. This is the basic structure, please. And the space I'm leaving in between is not necessary. I'm just leaving it like that to make the code beautiful, but it's not necessary when you're writing yours. Take note of that. Good. So that's all. So we are going to execute this together to see. Now the first thing is you need to save this file. But before saving the file, please move at this level. You hide this window. I hide this window. I hide this window. Now on the desktop, create a folder, because generally in the exam, if you don't have a candidate folder, they will ask you to create a folder with your name. So you right click, you go to new folder. Good. Let me just call it HTML. Let me just give this name like that. Okay, I'm already having a document with this name, so let me just modify it again. HTML. Let me just write there computer science ICT. Okay, I validate. So this is my folder. It's meaning that make sure everything that you are doing inside this folder. Very important. So your work should not be in this order. So now you click here on file. So if your own is in English, you will see file. So I will click on fichier. I click there. Then you click on save as. In my own case, it's in French, so you see enregistrer sous. But if your own is in English, you see save as. You click on save as. Good. Never forget that save as is used to create a document. After creating simply means that we are giving the name of the document as you are seeing. But after doing this, now the next time, by the time you have created your document already, the next time what you are doing is save, not save as again. Save simply means that you are now saving the content inside your document. Good. But for the first time, since you are still creating, that's why we are doing save as, because sometimes students are confused between save as and save. No, save as is to create the document by giving a name, whereas save simply means that the document is already there. You created the document already, but maybe you have added new text in that document and you want to save the new text you added in the document. Good. In that case, just click on save and it's all. Now here, when you're at this level, you click on desktop. So my own is bureau. You click there. Good. When you click on bureau, now you look your document. So after clicking on desktop, this is here, HTML Computer Science ICT. I just click there, and when you click, make sure you are in, because sometimes students just click one time. No, please make sure you double click twice there. Good. Now the next thing here, give the name, not the fichier, name of the file. So let me just call it page 1. Good. Play this, no space between the name. The next thing is you are supposed to precise the extension of an HTML document. The extension here is .html. Never forget. Don't create an HTML file and you don't add .html at the end. So you give the name of the file. So this is the name here. You give the name. When you are done with your name, you add dot. You write HTML. Good. So this is how we do it. I click on save and register in my own case, and it's all. Now the next thing is close this window. Go back inside your folder. You click on your folder. This is your folder. You realize that here, page 1, the page I created, the document I've created is already having a particular logo. This logo, this red logo that you are seeing here is one of my browser, and this browser is Opera Mini. Good. In your own case, you can have another logo here, meaning that you have another G4 web browser, because in my computer, the G4 web browser is Opera Mini. That is, it's meaning if I click here, this page will open directly with Opera Mini. Take note of that. Good. In your own case, you can have something here. Now, in some computers, you are not going to see any logo, meaning that your document is not recognizing any web browser in your computer. So generally, to verify if what you did is okay, now move at the level of type. I think everybody is saying type here. Now under type, normally you're supposed to see something like HTML document, or you see maybe Opera web document, like in my own case here. But in your own case, generally you'll be saying HTML document, especially those using Windows 10. I'm using Windows 11. Good. Now, so this another way to recognize if you have really saved the document the right way, because some students, the mistake is that when they save the document, they don't add the .html at the end, or they can maybe add .sml, like they don't remember very well. So please make sure you do it the right way. How to execute this file? So let me just show you a general way to avoid mistake, because we have different ways of executing an HTML document. So I don't want any confusion. So I'm going to show you the general way. Good. The general way means what? You enter into your folder where you have your HTML file. Good. You select your file. After selecting, you right click. When you right click, you click open with. Take note of that. At the level of open with, now here you'll be seeing block note or maybe notepad in your own case, and you'll be seeing your browser. Now if you click on block note simply means you want to open the code like this. Good. But actually we don't want to open the code, so you will open the code maybe when you are trying to add something, like you are trying to write a code, but actually we are not trying to write. You just hide it here. So you move at this level, you right click again after selecting open with. You open with a browser, because what you are trying to do is you are trying to execute your code. Now here I'm having multiple browsers in my computer. You see I'm having Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Opera Mini. So just choose any. Let me just choose Microsoft Edge and see. Good. Perfect. So this is the page here. Now analyze something. At this level you see new. So this new is the title. So go, the title we did here, we put here. So the title we put here, this is here. If I put maybe new lower science, good. I click on Control S to save. If Control S is not working, make sure you click on fichier, like file. You click on save, not save as, you click on save. Good. Now after that you hide this. In fact you hide this by clicking this minimize. You click there. After clicking there, you move at the level of this circle here. This is to refresh your page. Good. When you refresh your page, you go back at the level of title, you see new lower science. So I'm doing so that you really understand exactly what you are doing. Now, so we are done with the title. Now, are you seeing how the page is white everywhere? Good. The only text inside is what? Here you write the content of your body. Good. So this text that is appearing here is what we wrote inside the body. Good. So just to tell you that anything you are writing in body is what's appearing. Yeah, what's appearing here. Good. So this is the basic structure of an HTML document. By the time you have understood it, perfect. Everything is very nice. So the aim now of this tutorial is to study the different things you can add inside the body tag, because the aim is to build a web page, and building a web page simply means the user must be seeing something in the web page, right? Good. And what the user is seeing must be written where? In the body tag. So good. So I think we are going to end this video here. Let me just go to the document first and see. Okay, so we are done with the structure. Now there's another thing I want to mention. Look at this image. Generally you'll be seeing that there are some HTML documents that start with this thing. You open it, type, you write exclamation mark, you write doc type HTML. So the use of this line is just to indicate, or just to tell the browser that it is an HTML5 document. HTML5 document simply means that the HTML code that you are writing is HTML version 5. Good, but generally it's not really important for us. But I mention it here because there are some people, one question they can ask that what is the meaning of this line. So this line simply means that the HTML code that we are writing is HTML version number 5, because we have different versions of HTML. Good. So this version 5, but generally it's not important, so don't precise this line. Let's ignore it, in fact. Good, because I don't want something that will stress you. I want you to retain things directly. Good. So no need to retain this one, but at least the fact that you are saying it, if you see it somewhere tomorrow, you can remember the meaning of it, and it's all good. They will never ask you to write that in your code, apart if the GCE board is giving you the code, then you can just write it there, knowing that it's not a mistake. Good, but it has a particular meaning. Okay, so this is where we are ending here for this tutorial. So the next tutorial now is to study the different tags that we can use in the body tab. See you in the next video. So if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a comment. Any question, just ask. I'm going to reply. Ciao.